What's going on, guys? It is me, obviously, again. Who else is on this podcast? Who does the intros? No one. But if you don't know who I am Tyson the Trainer with two R's, because some mother effer didn't take mine, when I came up with Tyson the Trainer. For those of you who don't know, look up Tyson the Trainer on Instagram with one R. This cunt, he has posted, the last time he posted, I'm pretty sure it was like 2010 or something, right? And I came up with Tyson the Trainer in 2014. And I was like, oh, this guy hasn't posted in 4 years, fuck. So I messaged Instagram and I'm like, hey guys, because you can message and if you got requests or whatever. And they're like, oh, nah, sorry. Once someone has the account, they had the account. And I'm like, this guy hasn't posted in 4 years. Like, nah, sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. You go and check now, this guy still hasn't posted since fucking 2010 or 2012 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you dog. What a dog, so annoyed. So, funnily enough, I think he is actually obviously a trainer too. But obviously I'm not big and black. So with that being said, Tyson the Trainer with two R's here, talking to you guys today. Now, today's topic, I want to talk to you guys about mindset, okay? Now, again, I just always think that mindset and our brain has such an important thing, and it is sometimes overlooked, or we don't consider just how important things are the thoughts that run through our brain and stuff like that actually are towards us, and how it changes our daily actions, how it affects us on a daily basis, how that can actually make us change our behaviors and our habits. And basically, again, like our brain, we've only got one mind, and we need to learn to become friends with ourselves, because again, you've only got one body to live in, and you might as well treat yourself well. Otherwise, it's going to be a fucking miserable time. And we do forget that at the end of the day. We can be our own demise, and it's pretty fucked up to think that we can be our own downfall. And it's like, so I can't remember who told me the quote, but it's like, the biggest interrupter to our success, or the biggest thing that gets in our way, is actually ourself. It's like rule number one is don't self-sabotage. And it's funny because we literally do self-sabotage all the fucking time. And at the same token of thinking about that, it's like we think we're in control of ourselves, and we're really not. Think about what you say you want to do on a daily basis, or what you want to change, or whatever it is, and how often do we actually end up doing that? Which is kind of scary when you think about it, because we think we're in control of ourselves when there's very little we're actually in control of. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that, literally. Like, maybe you woke up this morning, well, you listen to this, it's about 6 o'clock, maybe, in the morning, if you've woken up, listened to this first thing. Or maybe you listen to this later on, and you said you're going to wake up and go for a jog, okay? Did you wake up and go for a jog this morning? If you did. Did you wake up at the time you said you wanted to wake up at? Did you eat the food you said you wanted to do? Did you do what you said you wanted to do for the day? Or did things just happen? And then you're like, what the fuck? Like, when you think about it, you're like, oh man, I did this. And when you look back and you think about it, you're like, why did I do that? Or, oh man, I can't believe I did this. And it's like, that's you. How weird is that? That it's like, we think we're in control when we are actually in very little control of of the decisions we make and actually carry out. And that's why, weirdly, it's so hard for us to change behaviors, habits, and all these things, or again, trying to even get healthier, when it's like we say we want to do it, but why the fuck don't we do it? Why? What's going on? And it just goes to show that we definitely, obviously, we can make decisions that move us in the right direction, but we don't have control over ourselves as much as we think we do. Okay? And so with that being said, the whole mindset side of things, I want to share with you guys about certain things that can actually kind of help move you in the right direction, and support your goals, but also just like mind fuck yourself a little bit, again, because at the end of the day, it's our mind and our brain that moves us in one direction or the other. And it's kind of like you've got this, I always talk about the employee brain and the boss brain, but it's like you've got this tug of war going in your head. You say you want to do this thing, but sometimes you'll act impulsively and do something else, and you're like, why the fuck did I do that? And it's like, it's like it kind of wasn't you. You're like, oh, that was weird, even though it wasn't me, but it is me type of thing. It's getting a bit weird, I know. But so we're going to be talking about mindset today, basically. All right? And how to kind of just, build up some self-confidence, get you in a good headspace overall. And again, I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not a psychologist. These are just things that I've done. Not a psychology course, I guess you would say, but like a behavior change course, and just understanding the brain a little bit better. So I don't even know, based on the people I've obviously learned from, there's only so much information I know, and I don't claim to be an expert, but these are things that have helped with myself and also my clients. Cool? Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is celebrating little wins. I'm pretty sure I've covered this in another podcast. I want to cover it today. We have to celebrate the things we do well, no matter how small those things are. And the funny thing is, we are so easy to criticize ourselves and to pick out every little fucking thing we did wrong, and to, talk down to ourselves and to make ourselves feel like shit. But when do you actually fucking pat yourself on the back? When do you congratulate yourself on doing something, no matter how small, to actually, give yourself a little bit of confidence boost? All right? Because, again, this whole getting in your own way and self-sabotaging, I'm definitely sure I've talked about this before. The whole boss scenario. If your boss always nitpicks, always makes you feel bad, never congratulates you on doing work, always points out the bad or the negative or any of those things, you're going to become resentful towards your boss. And the same thing happens, that you'll become resentful towards your fucking self if you do not celebrate your wins and build up that confidence. Because every time you kick yourself when you're down, every time you pinpoint the bad things, every time you always look at the negatives, your brain at some point is going to be like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. You're always going to pick out the bad. You're always going to make me feel like shit. You're always going to beat me down. I'm not going to do what you want to do. Why should I? I never get wins. I never celebrate things, And again, it's when we say this, it's like, oh yeah, I don't think, my brain doesn't think that. Oh, really? If your brain doesn't think that, why do you say you want to do things and then you become resentful toward yourself? Why do you have the fuck it moments when you've been dining really well and you go, fuck this, whatever, I'll start again Monday? It's because you've been doing well during the week, but what are you doing to celebrate? Are you even acknowledging another day? Yes, I did it. Or are you just like, yeah, whatever. All right, sweet, yeah, I did another diet. And then you just focus on when you fall off track. Or you focus, again, you've done a whole week worth of dieting, you've done really, really well, you get on the scale doesn't give you the answer you wanted, right? So instead of you being like, oh, I did really well this week, I actually stuck to my calories, I did my steps, I did my training, I ate more protein than I'm used to. You look at all those things that are great, that have moved you in the right direction. You're like, instead of thinking about any of that shit, the first thing you do is when you don't see that scale move, you go, oh, for fuck's sake, why won't the scale move? We start to get angry at ourselves. We fucking curse and jump up and down and crack a fucking tantrum because the scale didn't move this week. And it's like, you're not even going to fucking acknowledge anything you did well. You're just going to focus on that negative, on that scale. It's true. You know how I know it's true? Because I fucking remind my clients of it all the time. Every week. I literally have at the top of my check-in form, no matter what the scale says, think about your overall progress of the week, not the outcome of the scale. And yet no one seems to want to read that because clients always go, oh, I didn't see weight move this week. And I'm like, holy fuck, man. We're not just focused on the weight. We're not just focused on the scale. Like, yes, obviously people want to lose body fat, but there is a lot more to it. And if you're only focusing on that one outcome goal and you're not celebrating the progress you've made, you will become resentful. You will fall off track. You will not want to do what you say you want to do because, again, you're not acknowledging that inner self. You're not celebrating those wins. And it's exactly the same thing as your boss. Are you going to give him your 100% if he always fucking nitpicks and picks the little shit? No. If he's like, hey man, really good job with this. I'm very impressed with your work. I love that you're always on time. I love that you're always getting it done early. I love that you go on the extra mile. You're going to fucking work up and down for this boss, You're going to do whatever they want you to do because they're praising you. They might give you a bonus. They might give you some extra money, whatever it is. You're going to be like, fucking, this is a good boss, You know the difference between a good boss and a bad boss. Someone who will give you positive feedback, who will call you out on your bullshit when you aren't doing something right, but they'll always pick you up when you're doing things right, and they will, again, not always criticize, but they'll give you feedback that's constructive, okay? The same thing goes on in your brain, and you need to understand that. Okay? You like literally, oh, why should if you're thinking, why should I have to celebrate this? I don't care if you're thinking, why should I? I'm fucking telling you, if you want to have a higher chance of succeeding, feed your self-conscious, that's just self-conscious, feed your consciousness, I guess you would say, with positive things. And this is not just airy-fairy, oh, you're so good, you do all this shit well. We're not talking about bullshit here. We're talking about acknowledging when you do something well, all right? When a boss says, good job, Tice, showed up, did everything you needed to do today, I'm really impressed with your work, it makes you feel good, doesn't it? And you're most likely going to repeat that behavior when you feel good about doing the behavior that you've got acknowledged for. The same thing, if you stick to your diet for one day and you fucking smash it, tick a box off the calendar or something. Do something that gives you a little bit of dopamine hit, because humans love dopamine. And when we get a dopamine hit, we want more dopamine. So we're going to repeat that behavior, okay? We are literally like fucking animals. We are animals, by the way. But we're like, have you guys ever heard of Pavlov's dog, right? So basically he rings the bell, used to feed him every time he'd ring the bell. And then basically what would happen is when he'd ring the bell and didn't feed them, they would start to salivate, okay? So it's like, they're getting excited this food's coming even though the food's not coming. Because he ingrained, he taught them, when you hear the bell ring, you think about food, okay? When you do something well and you give yourself positive reinforcement and you get a dopamine hit, you want to repeat that behavior. Literally, this is why people abuse drugs, okay? Because drugs are addicting, because they obviously, fuck around with their brain chemicals, but one of those brain chemicals is dopamine. And if you're getting high levels of dopamine, you want to keep repeating that thing that gives you the feel-good feeling, all right? There's a reason people are addicted to Coke. Works on the dopamine receptors, okay? I don't think it's just dopamine, but dopamine plays a part. And so when we get that feel-good, same thing as running. People love to run because they love the runner's high afterwards. That's not dopamine. But what I'm saying is we like that feel-good experience. So do something that makes you feel good and celebrate a win, okay? For me, to incentivize myself, this is a fucked up thing. This is so funny. So I love caffeine, okay? Because I have ADHD and I'm on my medication. If I have too much caffeine, I'm not sleeping, right? So I have to stop my caffeine by 10 a.m. In order to trick myself to not have caffeine after 10 a.m., I reward myself by buying myself things for my coffee machine. So I'm really getting into my coffee at the moment. Tamping mat, buying the new, what are they called? Where you put the coffee in, whatever that's called. Change, getting all these things customized, right? So every day, literally, and it's this is the funny thing, it works. Incentivizing, all right? Every day, I don't have caffeine after 10 a.m. I give myself $10 in my little piggy bank to push towards my coffee fund of buying whatever I want. And it's it sounds stupid, but guess what? I haven't had coffee after 10 a.m. for 3 weeks, And eventually it's going to become a habit, and I don't need to worry about incentivizing myself anymore. But if you want to, give yourself a little bit of a positive reinforcement, you can acknowledge by, again, even ticking something off a box will give you that little bit of dopamine. But don't be afraid to give yourself a little bit of a positive incentive for something. If every day you stick to your diet and you give yourself $5 in the piggy bank, and then every time you get to $60, you give yourself a massage, that's a fucking cool thing. And some people are like, oh, you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to incentivize yourself. All right, well then fucking don't listen. Who cares? If you think you shouldn't have to, well then fucking do what you think you should do and do it and just do it then. Oh wait, there's a reason that people aren't sticking to things. Because sometimes we do need that little bit of a push. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself a little bit of an incentive to move you in the right direction. Because sometimes we need it. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with if you want to move towards your goals and you need to give yourself a little bit of a fucking incentive to move there? What's wrong with that? Nothing. do not incentivize yourself dieting by rewarding yourself with food, okay? Because obviously that's not going to fucking work, because then you're going to ruin the diet. But having an incentive for something is absolutely fine. And an incentive can be anything. You could be like, you know what? If I stick to my diet this whole week, I am going to go and I'm going to put money towards a holiday that I want to go on, but I want to feel good and confident for my holiday. So every week I'm going to put $100 towards my holiday because I want to look good when I go to the beach in Bali or whatever the fuck it is. Like, there's no right or wrong. Just have an incentive to give yourself a little bit more excitement. Or at least acknowledge the fact that you've made progress somehow, and always celebrate those little wins. I did talk about this in another podcast, because I remember talking to you guys about writing it down and putting it somewhere, you know? Even if that's in something small, like a little, what's it called? Like a jar, like a win jar, writing down all those little wins that you can make progress with. And that jar is going to be full of things you did, you know? And like even when you diarize, I write in my journal every evening. I write down, what did I do good today? What did I do better than I did yesterday? How am I becoming a better person? How am I improving myself? Because guess what? It feels good to be a better person than I was yesterday. It feels good to be knowing that I'm moving towards my goals. It feels good to know that I'm actually not just a fucking lazy piece of shit who's not doing anything with my life and just letting life roll by. You know? I like to grow and move in the right direction. And this isn't just for me dieting either. Okay? Again, like my coffee incentive. Me reading. You know, I love celebrating that I read 45 minutes every day, because reading is something that really helps me focus. Again, with my ADHD, it's always fucking all over the place. As much as I enjoy reading because it keeps me on point and, you know, it helps me avoid distraction, I don't do it all the time. And so when I do it and I positively reinforce myself and it makes me feel good when I tick that habit off, guess what I want to do tomorrow? I want to read, because it makes me feel good, because I don't want to break the streak, you know? And again, if it makes us feel good, if it makes us feel good and it's a positive behavior and it's reinforcing positive behaviors, then that's great. If it makes you feel good and it's a negative behavior, then obviously it's not ideal. You know, we don't want to be, it makes you feel good. Yeah, okay, we'll keep doing rack. Even though it makes you feel good, it's probably not a good long-term thing. But again, we want to reinforce those things, okay? And incentivizing is a great way to move you towards a goal. And you can also have, you can have positive incentives and negative incentives, okay? So a negative incentive, like every time you don't do something, you fine yourself $50, or you're not allowed to go and get a takeaway coffee, or I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, you know, you can have things that will move you away from pain and towards pleasure, or things that will not cause pain, but fucking sting if you don't stick to it, you know? If you want to raise the stakes higher, you know, you could literally be like, I'm going to donate $1,000 to something if I don't stick to my diet for the next 3 months. That's a big pain for you to lose $1,000, you know? Do we want to do that? Obviously not. You could if you wanted to, if you were committed to losing weight, you're like, nah, I want to do this. I'm going to make a deal with myself, or, you know, I'm going to write this down and give someone the $1,000 and I only give it back if I accomplish my goals. Whatever that is, but it's like any type of incentive that's going to, you know, help move you in the right direction is a good thing, okay? So incentivizing is key. Celebrating your wins and acknowledging yourself is key. Going back to what I said before, catching the mental self-talk of kicking yourself when you're down or negatively nitpicking at every fucking thing, you know? When clients tell me, I feel like a fat piece of shit, or when they're like, I'm a failure, or, you know, when you hear things like that, you don't understand how fucked that is, okay? Like, literally, I'm never saying you should not criticize yourself, because we all have weaknesses. We all need to pull ourselves up on our bullshit. Absolutely. Pulling yourself up on your bullshit is not kicking yourself when you're down or negatively talking bad about yourself to the point where you make yourself feel like shit, okay? If you fucked up on your diet, you pull yourself up on it. You're like, I need to get back on track, you know? I'm not fucking, like, how do I learn from this? You don't go, oh, you fucking fat piece of shit. I can't believe you fell off your diet again. God, you can't do anything right, can you? You're just one fucking miserable cunt, aren't you? You know? Like, Imagine if someone said that to me, if my friends said that to me, or my fucking mum, or my dad, or a family member said, "You're a fucking fat piece of shit. You can't stick to anything, can you? You're just miserable. You always say you want to do these things, but you never do it." Right? Like, wow. Like, you're not going to be friends with that person, or you're not going to want to talk to that family member, are you? Yet you do it to yourself. And you wouldn't say it to your friend. You wouldn't say it to a family member, you know? If they've obviously done something to the extreme and you hate that person or don't like that person anymore, you're obviously going to go off at them, but you're not going to kick someone while they're down, right? Imagine your friend fell off the track with their diet and they told you about it. And you're like, "You fucking lazy cunt. You can't even stick to a diet." Oh man, I bet your partner loves you, don't they? They love looking at you every morning when they wake up, don't they? Huh? Do they? You'd be like, what the fuck, man? Like, who are you? Like, you'd be a piece of shit for just saying that to your friend if they're down, especially if they're feeling down about themselves, because they don't feel good, and you just keep kicking them while they're down, right? You twist the knife while they're down. Yet you want to do that to yourself, and you don't think that's going to have a negative impact on you and your self-conscious and your confidence overall. And we wonder why we become resentful towards ourselves, or we wonder why we don't want to do the things we say we want to do. Like, again, you don't realize subconsciously that your brain's going to be like, "Fuck you, man. Like, you're going to treat me like shit. I'm not going to fucking do anything you want to do. You never praise me. You always kick me when I'm down. I don't want to be we're not fucking hanging out anymore. Fuck off." Like, that's what you would say to a friend, right? That's literally what happens inside your head. Is your brain, like, that's why you start fighting back. That's why you don't do shit you say you want to do. That's why, like, when these things happen and you kick yourself when you're down, that's why you do not have drive anymore. It's because you've done this to yourself, all right? So stop with the negative self-talk. Stop with bullying yourself, all right? You can give yourself criticism. All right, constructive criticism. And again, I always like to go back to this boss analogy. If your boss is like, "Come here, sit down. Look, you're showing up for work late recently, all right? Now, I know you're a good worker, and I know you're always, trying to do your job, but you've been coming late the last few weeks. You haven't been putting in as much effort as you need to, and I know you've got more potential in you. So just tell me, what's been happening with you right now, all right?" And you're like, "Oh, all right, well, I'm going to tell him, blah, blah, blah." And you start talking. He goes, "Tyson, I got high expectations of you and I want to keep you on. But if I'm going to keep you on, you got to start coming in on time to work, okay? Like, I'm here early. You see me here every morning. Let's just say your boss came early. I'm here early every morning before you, and I'm here later. And I just need you to come in on time to commit yourself. This is going to be a warning, all right? And again, there's nothing personal. I really enjoy you as as an employee. You're really, really good, but you need to step it back up. Again, right? You need to get back on track. You need to get your head focused. If your boss sat you down and gave you that positive, constructive feedback, because you've been late, are you most likely going to fucking come on time? You probably would. You're not going to be like, "Oh, fuck this guy, man. He's asking me to come on time. What a joke." "Oh, this boss is being nice to me, giving me constructive criticism." No. Okay? If he came in, he's like, "Mate, what the fuck is going on with you? You haven't been coming in on time. You've been 2 minutes late every day. Oh, like, do you even want to be here anymore?" You'll be like, "What the fuck? Like, what?" So it's the same thing. You can sit down and you can have an internal conversation with yourself, or just think and be like, "All right, look, I'm not sticking to it right now. Like, do I really want this?" Start journaling, start writing things out, Give yourself, "Look, I've been really fucking slack. I know I need to change the way that I'm doing things. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop going past the bakery every morning. Instead, I'm going to go around the corner, because I know that if I'm not near the bakery when I walk past it in the morning and I take the other street, I feel good and I don't make bad decisions. And I know I can stick to it. I've just got to take another route." Oh, wow, that wasn't hard, was it? Or you're like, "Oh, well, fuck, man. I'm never going to be able to get away from the bakery. All I want to fucking do is eat the fucking croissants every single morning. Why can't I just stop? I just should have some more fucking willpower." Like, can you look at it's like scenario 1, scenario 2 type of thing, you know? Like, we really, really undervalue our self-talk and how that can be detrimental or supportive towards us, okay? So again, catch yourself on your bullshit, all right? Pull yourself up, but do not bully yourself with that. And again, give yourself some criticism, but also, and like, this is weird to say because it's like you're talking to yourself internally, and it's like, it's just the weirdest thing to do. But when you give yourself some type of positive feedback, criticism about how you can move forwards, you actually feel better for it too, because now you have a solution to your problem that you've thought about for yourself. And you're also, again, subconsciously, or, you know, that second part of you is like, oh, okay, this guy kind of wants the best from me, or this girl wants the best from me. And again, it sounds so weird to talk about that there's just two fucking people in our head, but then when we think about the things we do, we're like, that kind of makes sense, all right? So again, stop with the fucking negative self-talk and kicking yourself when you're down. And catch it. Every time you catch it, reframe it. Take that shit out of your head. Again, you can be angry when you fall off track, but you do not need to fucking kick yourself when you're down or name call or any of that shit. You're not a fucking child. You're not a 3-year-old. Well, 3-year-olds aren't really cool names. You're not a 12-year-old, all right? You're not bullying other people. You're not fucking making fun of something. You are giving yourself constructive criticism because you're a fucking adult. Yes? Cool. All right, so that negative self-talk, little wins, incentivizing, writing down your wins. I'm trying to think what else I wrote down here. So I guess that comes down to what I just talked about with the bakery side of things. You know, changing your path. If you were to take another road, you don't go past the bakery. Sorry, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. So with that, setting yourself up for success does not mean you have to willpower yourself to everything, okay? A lot of people think they lack the discipline and the willpower in order to get somewhere, and it's not a willpower issue. It could be a behavior issue or an environmental issue, okay? I've got a client. He's struggling with his junk food at the moment, okay? And this is literally, like, the reason I have this example is because we've done this. He has an issue where if he goes past this bakery in the morning, he will get a big, what are they called? Chocolate slice, right? Chocolate slice and a mocha coffee. And like right there, it's like 800 calories, okay? And so he's like, oh man, I gotta, you know, he's like, I just need willpower. I just need to be able to go past it and not get anything. And I said, well, do you need willpower or do you just need to change a different route? Because if you change a different route and you go a different direction, you don't even need to think about being strong or staying away. You just go a different direction, you know? It's like if you have temptation in the house and you're like, I just gotta have stronger willpower. If there's no temptation in the house, you don't need the willpower, all right? So you're not thinking at 9 o'clock at night, oh, maybe I'll go to the kitchen. I've still got some chocolate in there. Oh, fuck, I just wish I had more willpower. Maybe you just have to keep out some trigger foods at the moment or keep out overeat. And it may not be a forever thing, but when you're dieting, especially when you're dieting, anything that can cause temptation, slip-ups, any of those things, instead of trying to think about willpowering yourself out of it and disciplining yourself, think about what can you do to just eliminate that temptation altogether? And again, maybe that means you don't buy chocolate for the next few months, you know, or you might buy like those single individual packets that you get on a Sunday. So you're like, all right, I got one chocolate for the week. That way you're not thinking every night, oh man, am I going to wake up and go and fucking binge on chocolate? I hope not. Like, you're going to hope, you're just going to fingers crossed, you're just going to, maybe, I'm thinking I'm not going to, but it's like, why don't we just avoid that completely, you know? So it's like, don't focus so much on willpower when it comes to trying to achieve your goals. Focus on setting up your environment for success and taking away temptation out of your environment, okay? It's like this is obviously probably not the best example. Like, let's say you're a married man, okay? You're a married man and you go to a brothel, okay? I hope married people aren't going to the brothel, but it's like, all right, you go to a brothel, okay? And there's temptation everywhere. Are you just going to sit there and be like, I need willpower. I got to stay strong. Like, yes, you're married, obviously, and, you know, you shouldn't be there in the first place. But it's like there, okay? And it's like, are you going to make a fucking bad decision or not? Who knows? You might not. You might be like, yes, I willpowered my way through it. Just don't go to the fucking brothel in the first place. You're married. You know? Like, problem solved. And it's simple stuff like that. But it's the same thing with with trying to stay on track with things. Like, we don't have to willpower shit. We can just change our environment. And again, we can't change everything. But if I'm sitting there at my desk and I put a cookie jar at my desk, all right, I'm going to diet now. I've got a 12-week diet. I'm going to put this cookie jar right here. And every day you look at that cookie and you're like, oh, not today, not today, not today. One day you're going to be like, yep, fucking today. And I'm going to eat that whole fucking jar because I'm stressed out of my mind. Well, guess what? The cookie jar wasn't there. You probably wouldn't have eaten any of the cookies. And you wouldn't have had that temptation every fucking day. And then when shit got real, got stressful, and that day where you did crack, you probably wouldn't have gotten the cookies. You would have been like, oh, for fuck's sake, you might have gone and done something else. You might have gone to the gym instead. You might have done something that's more positive for you. But instead, you chose to binge on the cookies, and then you're upset at yourself, and you're like, why? Why didn't I have the willpower? It's not a willpower thing. Like, it is, but it's not. And the less you can take away, the more you can take things out of willpower, take willpower away, and just have your environment set up for success, guess what that means? It means you do not have to think about saving willpower or using willpower. And then when certain things come up where you may need it, you've got those willpower reserves, okay? Because again, our willpower is only so finite in a day. And that's why most of us make pretty fucking bad decisions at night, because we're depleted of our willpower. We're exhausted. You're tired. Oh man, what a day. I'm exhausted. Oh, I'm going to come home. Do you want to get takeaway? Yeah, I just can't be fucked eating. I just can't be fucked cooking. I'm going to get takeaway. Easy, You've just chosen takeaway because you're tired. You got food in the fridge, you come home, you're like, oh, I'm fucking exhausted. Oh, what am I going to have for dinner? I can't be fucked cooking. Oh, actually, oh man, I've got my Muscle Chef in the fridge. It's not my favourite, but I've got to stick to the diet. At least it's here. At least I don't have to cook anything. I chuck it in the microwave, Boom, solved. You got meals prepped, okay? So again, the more we can take away temptation, the less we have to rely on willpower, the higher the chance we have of succeeding, all right? Another good little mindset tip. And finally, specificity matters, okay? So specificity. One thing we are very good at is giving ourselves little generalizations, all right? And this is one thing that I think my clients start to get a little bit frustrated about because when they say they want to do something, I ask them, tell me when, tell me where, tell me what. Because the more specific we can be, the more likely we are to actually do that, all right? We're going to go back to the boss analogy again, okay? Boss walks past, has a project for you, drops it on your desk. I need this done. Can you, no, he didn't say I need this done. He drops it on your desk and he goes, can you do this for me? And then he just walks off. And you're like, all right, whatever. And he comes back an hour and a half later. He's like, is this done yet? And you're like, oh, what? He's like, is this done? It needed to be done an hour and a half ago. And you're like, well, you didn't tell me that. You just said, can you do this for me? If your boss came to you in that same scenario 1, scenario 2. If your boss came to you and he's like, hey, I need this done within 90 minutes, all right? This is your top priority. I need you to do this first. Get this done by 3 p.m. today in 90 minutes. Specificity, timeline, top priority, clear instructions, okay? You're going to drop everything else and do that first because he's your boss. If he came back at 3 p.m. and he goes, did you do that? And you go, oh, no, I haven't started it yet. He's like, I fucking told you to do it. You're not even going to question. If he told you that and you're like, should I do this right now? Like, yes, do it right now. He told you it's first priority, okay? And you got the clear instructions. Specificity matters because again, when we leave things vague, it gives our own self a little bit of a way out of interpretation, all right? So just so you have an understanding here. When a client says, I'm like, what do we want to work on this week? That's one of the questions in the questionnaire. And sometimes they'll write, I want to increase my veggies. I ask them by how much they want to increase their veggies and what the specific amount is they want to have every single day. It's not I'm going to increase my veggies. Because what's that? You had 1 extra serving of veggies in a week? Oh yeah, sweet, I increased my veggies. That's a fucking cop-out. And so we try and avoid specificity because then that gives us a good delineation between what failure and success is. And we know that if we're on the right path or not, or we know we're right and wrong. But specificity also allows us to know if we're in the right track and moving in the right direction, all right? So I asked them, hey, if you say you want to increase your protein, how many grams do you want to kind of aim for a day? Do you want to work out this week? When are you going to work out? Write it down. Be specific. The more specificity you have, the more likely you are to do it. Because otherwise, we leave this generalization. Oh, I want to work out this week. Okay. I'll leave that to my future self to decide. Or you just say, I want to work out 3 times this week. All right, I want to work out 3 times this week. And it gets to Thursday and you haven't worked out yet. You're like, oh, I still got 3 days left. And then it's Friday and you miss it. You're like, oh, I still got 2 days left. I'll do 2 workouts. And then it gets to Saturday and then you miss it again. And you're like, oh, I've only got 1 day left. And you're like, oh man, I didn't fucking do my 3 workouts. If you said, I'm going to work out at 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to wake up and go straight to the gym on these 3 days, you have a much higher chance of sticking to it because you've given yourself clear instructions, okay? The same thing with your boss telling you, I need this project done on Microsoft Excel by 3 p.m. with a bar graph. I don't know, I'm making up something. Very specific. You're not going to be like, does he want a pie chart? Does he want a bar graph? You know he wants a bar graph. Does he want it by 5 p.m.? Does he want it tomorrow? He wants it by 3 p.m. All right? Is it the first priority? Is it the third priority? It's his first priority, okay? There's no questioning. You have specific instructions with exactly what he wants. The same thing for you. You tell yourself, I want to eat an extra 200 grams of veggies a day. You know whether you're going to tick that box or not, okay? And the more vague you are, the easier it is for you to get away with certain things too and weasel your way out of it. Or you you kind of cop yourself out. You're like, oh yeah, I ate more veggies today. You don't fucking know. So specificity matters, okay? And it actually increases your chances of sticking to something and doing something when you give yourself clear, specific instructions. If I tell my clients, hey, eat more protein, they're like, oh, fuck, how much do I need to eat? Oh, just eat more protein, you'll be right. They're like, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do? Hey, your goal is to eat about 1.8 to 2.2 grams of protein. That is a range between this and this. The best way for you to get protein in it is to get 4 meals a day. You should aim to get 4 palm-sized servings of protein a day, and you're going to get that goal. Well, then guess what? It's not left to interpretation. They know if they get 4 palm-sized servings of protein a day, they're going to hit their protein goal. All right? Boom. Fucking they got that straight answer. So again, don't speak in generalities. Don't give yourself vague ideas of something. Give yourself specific setups, okay? Like again, the more specific you can be, the better because you're giving yourself clear instructions. And when you have clear instructions, you know what you should be doing versus what you're not doing, okay? Because if you said, I'm giving myself 200 grams of veggies every day this week and you miss a day, 6 out of 7 days is pretty good. You're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I actually did pretty well this week. But if you know you're not getting 200 grams of veggies a day, then you're not doing what you said you want to do. So it's like, and then it makes you feel bad because you're not doing what you said you want to do, which is also important because again, we have to still give ourselves targets to achieve. And if we don't hit those targets, we reevaluate that. Is it realistic target or what it's going to be? But people don't like to, fail or do something wrong. And this is where, again, it goes to that negative self-talk, which it shouldn't be. So if I said, I want to eat 200 grams of veggies this week every day. I want to eat 200 grams of veggies every day this week, sorry. And you smash it this week. You know you won, all right? If you say, I want to eat 200 grams of veggies this week every day, and you only get 100 grams each day, and then it gets to the end of the week, instead of being like, you fucking didn't accomplish it, oh, you're lazy, you can't even fucking eat 200 grams of veggies a day, be like, all right, you didn't get 200 grams of veggies this week. Why didn't I get it? Do I not like veggies? Did I choose the wrong veggies? Do I know how to cook veggies? How can I make sure I increase it a little bit more this week? So even though you failed the goal, you can reevaluate and go from there. That's the important thing. It's not about kicking yourself when you're down. And that's why people don't like to fail, because then they make themselves feel like shit. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is learning, all right? There's nothing wrong with failure, but you need to have an indicator of what success is and what, I hate using the word failure, what success is and what not success is. Because if you don't succeed on the goal, on the target you hit, you reevaluate the target, right? So you might need to change your perspective, or you need to reevaluate your behaviors to move in that direction, and then you constructively give yourself feedback and move forwards. That's what we do wrong. We kick ourselves when we're down. We make ourselves feel like shit, and then there's a reason we don't want to keep going towards those goals. Right? So specificity matters. Well, that's everything, guys. I hope it was helpful. Those little mindset shifts. I hope it gave you a good amount of information about what you can be focusing on. If you guys did enjoy the podcast, as always, please share it on Instagram and tag me. And yeah, don't speak to yourself like shit. Until next time, I'll speak to you guys then.